to be on the same platform virtually with Anand. Thank you, Anand, for taking time to do this. Can I have the AV, please?
Our chief guest this evening, Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand, is a 5-time world chess champion, the first sportsperson to receive the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award and Padma Vibhushan. Anand is a well-liked figure throughout the chess world. Anand, who first earned the nickname of the Lightning Kid in India, is known for quick tactical calculations. His recent book, Mastermind: Winning Lessons from a Champion's Life, is a must-read. A very simple person, Anand is an inspiration to every Indian. More than once he has proved that our thoughts are our strongest weapon and biggest asset. We are happy to have him for India's independence to preside over this event, which will provide women with guidance and practical resources on topics that are top of the mind during COVID-19. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Vishy Anand.
Let's welcome Vishwanathan Anand.
Over to you, Mr.
Anand,
Anand.
over to
Looking
you.
forward to hearing your inspiring address. Over to you, Mr. Anand.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to the winners, by the way. So I'd like to talk a little bit about managing in difficult times. In chess, I have faced this very often. I remember a couple of big crisis moments in my career. In 1994, I was on my way to qualify for the World Championship, and I was leading in one of the knockout matches, I was leading my opponent by 2 points with 3 games to spare. Suddenly, when essentially I would have to lose 2 out of these 3 just not to win it. And I started to relax a little bit. When I lost the 6th game, I told myself, well, probably this is still under control. It was a bad day, but let's think. And I did not focus properly. I lost the 7th game as well. And after we drew the match, I lost the tie breaks. This is a situation I've faced quite often in my career. What did I learn from that experience? Well, I learned that it's very important never to be complacent, never to relax till you have the point in the bag. And as I've gotten older, a lot of these experiences have been so that nowadays I'm even more nervous when I'm about to win, because it's one thing when it's almost there and it's another thing when it's actually in the bag. However, from difficult moments, that is the ideal time to reflect on yourself, to take an objective analysis, to do an objective analysis of yourself, and try to think, what are the things that I really need to systematically improve in order to get better. In chess, we like to say that we evaluate ourselves after every game, and that is true. We will always look at a game after it's finished, look for the mistakes we committed, the things we did right, and then try to note these down to work on later. But sometimes there are broader patterns. There are psychological weaknesses which are revealed, impatience, euphoria, all sorts of emotional turmoil, and finding out when these things, identifying when these things affect you, and then having the discipline to make notes so that the next time when you feel that emotion coming, the warning signals go off. That is how we learn. Now, of course, I'm talking of the failure that you experience personally, but this year we experienced something that I'm confident that none of us have faced before, and certainly not on the scale. So I mean, literally the different definition of force majeure, isn't it? So I remember in February, how innocently I got on the flight and I went to Germany. The plan was to play 1 club match. Then I was going to stay back for 3 weeks and play another club match. And then I had this idea, well, instead of coming back again, why not bridge these 2 club matches with a training session in Poland, and then I will return after the second club match. So that was the plan. I played the first club event. I trained for 3 weeks in Poland. And I was about to come back to Germany to play my club match before flying home. Already while we were there were worrying signs. One by one, Italy and Spain were already heavily affected. And these were countries which we thought had excellent healthcare systems. We hadn't quite gotten a grip on the whole thing yet. But March, I arrived on the 10th of March. On the 13th of March, my team captain called everyone and canceled the event. I mean, it actually took him 3 days still at that point. Called everyone, canceled the event. Then I started calling Lufthansa to fly back. And of course, they kept saying, no, today's flight is canceled, tomorrow's flight is canceled. And next thing you know, I was stranded in Germany. And it's just been a very, very interesting learning experience. I think you can learn a lot from a situation just like this, just as much as you can learn from some personal experience of yours. I was fortunate that I had agreed to do some commentary, which was a new development for me. I was going to do a commentary for a chess tournament. And I'd agreed for this simply because I thought it would be a nice thing to do. And it came in handy because while I was in Germany, I simply had to find something to do, and this was very nice. So this took me to the end of the month. And by the way, my flight kept on moving. So by now my flight had shifted to April 5th. And then the tournament I was supposed to do commentary on got canceled halfway. And the reason they got canceled, they went ahead with the tournament because they felt that once we get all the participants in, we have enough doctors to have a very high doctor to participant ratio, and we should be safe till the end of the event. But then they realized that Russian airspace would close halfway through the event and no one would be able to go back home. So they shut that down. And slowly I began to suspect that my year was simply going to be unlike any other. I was planning to play a big tournament actually in Germany in April. So I was going to fly back and then fly back again. And I was going to play in Azerbaijan. Then I was going to play in Paris. I was going to play in Amsterdam. I was going to play in the US. And suddenly the whole thing disappeared. And it looked clear to me that probably I was not going to make a flight in April. Sadly, there were flights landing in Germany, dropping off German citizens who had been stranded in India, but not taking any of us back. They were flying empty back home. Anyway, so I suddenly found myself with a lot of time. First thing I did was to try to learn something new. So I looked at my chess. I tried to find new interesting things to look at, practice some languages, read up on subjects that I had not read up, all the self-improvement stuff. And actually, given that we don't know what kind of world we're going to return to, this is probably the only logical thing we could have done at that stage. So in chess specifically, online chess boomed. In April and May, every website was reporting 3 or 4 times the normal level of traffic. All events moved online. And but nobody knew how long it would last. I mean, I would be lying if I said in April I had a clear sense of when this was going to end. My attitude was, let me do the stuff and rehearse the skills and practice the things that are going to be valid for any possible future, and not try to predict stuff. So studying rook endgames or pawn endgames or the Sicilian defense is going to be useful to me no matter where I play and how I play. So that was practical. Eventually, we know that most economies were severely affected. It must have been impossible for all of you to make any plans in whichever sector you're in. And the only thing you can do is to work on the skills that you would need under all circumstances. So I did a bit of that, especially I was very lucky to be in Germany, which had a relatively mild lockdown, in the sense that they had strict regulations, which everybody there automatically follows. And then they had, they didn't go overboard with it. So I was able to go out a lot within the town. I was able to go out a lot. So I tried to take advantage of that to do a lot of physical training and so on. Then we found out that there were going to be some Vande Bharat flights to come back. And that took quite a bit of planning to get into. You had to fill all sorts of forms here and there. And it was nice to see people evolving. I mean, the Indian embassy in Berlin, for instance, understood that simply putting a website where people can't ask any questions doesn't work. They adapted. They started communicating even with individuals via Twitter. And you could see them. Every time there'd be a WhatsApp rumor, within one day, the embassy would have a clarification saying, no, it's not going to happen. And these are just modern times. And you can see that people have started to adapt and so on. Anyway, I got my flight back on the 27th of May, finally after 3.5 months there. I landed, I mean, I was of course going to any city that I could, but I was accepted for Bangalore. I spent 1 week in Bangalore in quarantine, then took the flight to Chennai. The masks, the shield, all the fun things. I got back home, and then I had a further week of quarantine in the bedroom while my meals were left outside and all that stuff. And on the 14th of June, I could finally enter a normal situation again. Normal in the sense that I'm at home with my family, but of course, outside the world continued with this chaos. It was one of the most touching things I had was I've played chess everywhere, but my dominant impression is I get ready for an event. Then when I get ready to get into the car to go to the airport, something clicks. I get on the plane, something clicks. I arrive in the hotel, something clicks. I see the other participants, something clicks. I go to the opening ceremony where they draw lots, something clicks. And like this, there are 4 or 5 stages by which I'm fully concentrated because I know that the tournament has started. And these are all nice cues for that to happen. I accepted an online tournament last month. And till 2 minutes before the event began, it just didn't feel real. It felt like it is happening to someone else, somewhere else. I could not get ready for it. I'm used to other participants wandering around, seeing each other's boards. You're used to some atmosphere, the spectators. Here, all the cues are missing, but we're still forced to work from home. Working from home is not just a question of doing the work. It is about all the mental cues to get ready. So anyway, the touching event was, I lost one game, and then my son wandered in after he knew that the result was over. He could finally open the door. He wandered in, and I guess he was very happy to give me the advice that he had received so many times. He says, Appa, you have to practice this opening better, and you have to concentrate. You're getting too distracted. And that was very nice. But in fact, he hit on something. How do you concentrate at home? There is something unreal about never seeing your client, never interacting with your opponent. It's not that we can't do the work. It's just that it doesn't feel serious. I guess we will get better with this, but the way we will solve this is typically to learn to manufacture artificial cues that 20 minutes before a game starts, you look at puzzles or you do something that warms you up. You play training games, and this is the beginning of the curve. Now, to talk about the pandemic itself, what it reminds me most of all is of playing against a chess computer. And I'll explain why. You see, when I play another human being, I know that I can read his face for cues. He knows he can read mine. Even a passing by participant, if he looks and he's surprised, there's some information. Also, I know that I can have a hot streak. If I defend my position with 3 accurate moves, then I know that by the 4th move, my opponent is getting slightly discouraged. And you feel good having made a couple of moves. You know that your opponent is reacting to everything you do. But when you play a chess computer, you lose that sense completely. You have the feeling that nothing you do, you have any idea what it thinks, and nothing you do is impacting in any way as well. And the virus reminds me of that. So the first time I started to play a computer, and of course we have stopped this long back, but the first time I played against it, I realized you make 10 good moves, nobody pats you on the back, nobody, there is no positive feedback, nothing. You have to make the 11th good move as well, because the computer opponent is not going to relax. And this is a very different kind of opponent. It forces you to follow a narrow path, and without any confirmation or feedback that you are following it correctly. You'll have to follow it to the end, and it's only at the end you'll find out if you've done the right thing. It's hard, but the problem is the computer doesn't care about whether it's hard or easy for you. It's going to do it. And it's the same with this virus. All it's interested in is infecting more people. It's even killing us at a lower rate so that it can infect more people. And it's just pure evolution. It's doing that. But it's the kind of enemy that requires a certain kind of discipline. So, I wanted to remark on the fact as well that people have noticed that countries led by women have done much better than many other countries. And I think there are several factors here, but I was thinking along this theme that I remember while I was in Germany, I watched many addresses by the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel. And one consistent pattern stuck out to me. She never tried to make fun of it or never tried to entertain the audience. She kept on, she would come there, sit there and say, and there was this honesty and frankness. She would say, this is what we're facing. This is how many cases I have heard of. This is what the Koch Institute is saying. This is what the experts are saying. And then she gave one particular example, which I liked a lot. She said, if the RO, the infection rate, is 1.1, then our hospitals are going to cope. If the RO is 1.2, our hospitals break down in June. If the infection rate is 1.3, it breaks down in April. And just to show you would expect it goes down slowly, but a slight increase also has this. And like this, she just stated the facts. She was honest, sincere, and she got off. A lot of other world leaders who are used to entertaining their audiences or did not manage to convey this in this way and did not get the required response. So I feel that just as much we should say that this was just good leadership. This was how you deal with this virus. And unfortunately, we're all in this for the long haul. Looking at the future, I don't know what the future is going to look like. I don't know whether this mixture of online chess and offline chess will change. It may change fundamentally in the sense that we may move permanently offline. I don't think that's very likely, but it's a possibility. That ratio may change forever. It may not go back to the 80-20 it used to be. It may stop at 40-60. That's a possibility. And all we can do is to take the precautions we are taking and be very, very patient till it comes out. Good leadership is acknowledging that, following scientific facts, being honest with your audience, and I think there's a lesson there. I feel quite sad when I watch my son's school year disappear. I mean, he used to have friends, used to have a lot of social interaction. Now he's forced to cope, but all you can do is tell him every day, this is all there is. The alternative is horrible, and you just have to trust us, and this is all there is. That's what we can do. But keep optimistic and try to come out of this alive. Even in chess, I simply don't know what world to get ready for. And I wanted to say that if you had asked me in January what my wish list would be, I would have said, oh, it would be nice to spend some time with the family, have more time for the things that are important in life. We've all said this. Well, we got a chance. We got all the time we wanted to spend time with family. Hopefully you're not stranded somewhere. Spend all the time with family. And it's not that easy either. But in the same way that a defeat in chess forces you to look at every aspect of your game and find out what are the things you want to improve, something like this gives us the chance to look at all aspects of our life. Maybe success is not the only measure. You can take an honest look, try to find out what are the priorities, what are the things that are important, not important. For instance, I have discovered that I used to tell people I don't think I could survive more than a month without air travel. And I've taken one flight in the last 6 months. 7 actually, sorry. I used to think all sorts of things were important. And I found out that it's not that much of a deal breaker. So this is a good chance to reflect and get ready for the future. And I wish you all the best. And I hope you manage to enjoy my experience of this very special year. Congrats again to the winners, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anand. Thank you for your thought-provoking and insightful address, and your inspirational eloquence combined with the quality of thought process added tremendous value to the entire proceedings today. We are going to have you set the tone for all the discussions that are going to happen, because they are all going to discuss what you really went through during the last few months. And thank you so much indeed. We already have more than 3,500 viewers watching this program. We never had an MMA crossing more than 250. Today, we already more than 450 people are in Zoom. It all shows they're all willing to come forward to listen to you, actually, Mr. Anand. You are proud of India, and thank you so much. And as a token of our gratitude, MMA has made arrangements on your behalf. 195 marks given away to the needy. Indeed, obliged by your kind gesture. We want to give to the poor what the affluent people do wear the N95. We have done that as a practice. We keep giving this to a lot of poor to the NGO. Thank you so much. And we also want to thank Ms. Aruna Anand for her support. She effectively coordinated with Ranjini. I know from time to time I keep getting a lot of messages wherever we went wrong and wherever we had to do. Thank you so much, Mr. Anand. Ranjini, you would like to add anything more? Maybe you would like to ask some questions from any of the speakers. I leave it to you, Mr. Anand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anand. We have only 3 or 4 minutes, so we can have maybe just 1 or 2 questions quickly. Is anyone prepared with a question to ask Anand?
Yeah, Anu, Kamini, and Maria is on the line. Maybe we'll give the privilege to. Yes, Maria.
Maria or Kamini, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mr. I must tell you that it was quite something meeting you online. I've always admired you, but I've never really had a chance to meet you. So it's a complete honor to meet you. I have to, when you were talking about how while you played a game, you had to kind of, at certain places, certain emotions would take over. So that is psychology besides just, playing the game. And you talked about how when you looked at your opponent, you would know where he's going. I mean, today in today's pandemic, a big thing is mental health. So I'm sure a lot of what you did during that game also came to use when you were stuck in Germany. How did you deal with you being there and not being able to come back? How was you? How were you feeling at that point of time?
Thank you. I understood under the circumstances, I was fairly lucky. I was at home in Germany next to some very close friends of mine who lived in the next apartment. So in the sense, I always had someone I could reach out to. Yes, I would not be able to see my family for a long time, only online. But on the other hand, I was not really stranded in that sense. I was not stuck in a hotel somewhere, unable to get flights. I mean, there's so many people who had it worse off that I mostly felt I'd gotten off lightly. It didn't affect me at first because I didn't realize it was going to be 2.5 months. That realization came slowly. And I didn't also realize how serious this was going to be and how long it was going to take. So the numbers that we now have of 20 million infected around the world, I didn't even come in my projections then. So, we're all grappling with something new.
Yes.
But by May, I was just fed up and I really wanted to come back, and I was ready to do anything to get on any flight to come somewhere. I said, drop me off in Cochin, Bangalore, anywhere, it doesn't matter, just I'll come. And luckily that flight happened. So it worked out well, I think. And since then I've been here almost 2 months now. And I actually spent a hell of a lot of time. So I go every day I take Akhil out for a walk. Around the building, but at least the thing we get a lot of time to talk about things. And I've also come to appreciate the times when we used to travel without a thought. You really miss that. And I know that the whole family is starting to dream of some holiday at some date. We'll see.
Great. So Anand, I have a quick question. So other than playing chess, which I can't learn at this age, what else can I do to become calm and patient like you to manage the next normal?
Well, you said calm and patient like me. I'm simply a good actor. I learned to keep my emotions to myself at the chessboard for obvious reasons. I have found that I do better when I'm interested in what I'm doing. So if I can find something interesting in the position, I'm more engaged, I'm easier to concentrate, all that. The other thing is to visualize. When I said, there are some weaknesses you fix, I don't think there are emotional qualities you can ever fix. I mean, that's just you. But what you can do is to see the cues. You can see, this is when I make a mistake. What did I feel then? What was I thinking then? And how can I see it coming so that I have some warning that my performance might drop, sort of thing. And I think visualizing, we all have a pretty good idea about ourselves. What are the times we tend to get wrong? When do we get it right? That sort of thing. I think if you can visualize a little bit and then mentally train yourself when it comes. And by the way, even in chess, I don't get huge improvement from this, but I'm happy with it doing better 2 out of 10 times. I know that most of the time the mistakes will still happen. And the flip side is the good moves will also happen. But if I can improve the worst bits by 20% or something, I'm happy. So visualization is one thing I use a lot.
Great.
Maybe one last question. Kamini, you
in fact, yes. Thanks, Anand. Really enjoyed listening to you. Privileged to meet you. My question actually goes back to, your time in Germany, because, a lot of people are away from their families and some of them have not had that opportunity to come back, right? And you hear a lot about the mental health issues, a lot of stress and depression that go through. Given the experience that you have been, is there any, where did you find that source of inspiration or positivity within you to get you going? And what would you advise people, to manage and get through by in this situation?
I think physical exercise was very nice. You simply need a certain amount of that every day. And it's a pity that, we're doing yoga classes via Zoom and so on, but, it's something, it keeps you going. find activities that you can do with family members. I mean, we are really a species that needs each other, so we can't be too alone. And for that reason, I can say in Germany, I was lucky because my friends were next door, and every evening we would have a dinner together. We'd go for short walks together and things like that. But it was strange that when I started out, Germany had more cases than India. I mean, their thing was peaking. And I flew in the completely wrong direction. By the time Germany had solved the problem, I flew to Bangalore. And then Bangalore was doing much better than Chennai. So of course I flew home. I came in the wrong direction. But yeah, we should count our blessings. If we're even half well off, we should count our blessings, because I mean, in the beginning, there were so many horror stories of people stranded in hotels. That's stranded. I mean, I try to tell people I was not stranded. I was just stuck there. I was very lucky under the circumstances. If you have some company, some friends, that's probably the most important thing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anand. Thank you so much for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, we really ran out of time because our chief guest, Mr. Anand, has to go because he's got another pressing engagement. We really committed
to him. Do we have
to
a group photo opportunity before Anand
keep
leaves?
taking. It's already taken.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Taken. And thank you so much, Mr. Anand. And thanks for sparing your valuable time. Thank you also for taking on the questions. And so many questions have come from all the social media as well as our chat mode. And what I will do, I will take out a printout and send it to you. Whenever you get time, you answer them. I'll be more than delighted to share with all the people who raise this question. I think that way, I think we can satisfy so many people who have raised so many questions. It'll be very interesting. Thank you so much for understanding. Thank you for your support, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our inaugural